Texas's redistricting fight has spurred a standoff, with Democrats fleeing to other states to block a vote.
Let's bring in Rice University political science professor Mark Jones now to talk more about this. Mark, good to see you. So Texas issuing these civil arrest warrants, instructing DPS troopers to go and arrest these lawmakers, but they can't go across state lines, right? So is that a mostly symbolic thing, these warrants?
It's purely symbolic until these representatives return to Texas, at which point they do have that power and they can track them down and compel them to appear and provide quorum in the Texas House. But once they're outside the state, Texas, the long arm of the Texas law enforcement does not reach there, particularly in a state like Illinois or New York.
So no word on how long they'll be staying in these states. I know our Lena DeFlorius, she's in the Chicago area. I've been speaking with a couple of lawmakers there. They've told her potentially about 3 weeks when the special session ends, but then the governor can also continue to call more special sessions until this work really gets done. So at this point, I mean, it sounds like we're kind of delaying the inevitable at this point. Is that
yes, right? Yes, the House Democrats can delay the process, they can put a spotlight on the process, but they can't really stop the process. And so they're likely to stay out of Texas for another little more than 2 weeks until, say, August 20th, at which point they'll come back after the first special session is over. But as you mentioned, Governor Abbott will just call a second special session that may start as early as August 20th. And I would expect that at that point they will appear on the House floor eventually once the legislation gets there. Of course, once with the issue with special sessions, though, is that every special session has to start fresh, meaning they're going to have to go through the whole committee process for everything. So any legislation that's passed now, if it passes out of the Senate, it comes out of a House committee, all of that needs to start from anew again for the second special session. But eventually these maps will be passed, probably most likely during the first part of September, second part of September, well, first part of September. I say the first half of September.
Who's risking more here? Is it the Democrats or the Republicans? Because even if the Republicans do get this map eventually passed, it could end up hurting them politically based on what other states do. They could redraw their maps, right, Mark, and sort of counter any Republican gains.
Right. So for every action, there's often a reaction, and the reaction in this case could be California redrawing its maps to increase the number of Democratic representatives there, and perhaps other states like Illinois and New York, although Illinois is very constrained in that there are only 3 Republican representatives there, so there's not much more juice they can squeeze out of that orange. And New York has actually state laws that limit the type of partisan gerrymander that is being carried out here in Texas. But all that said, this could lead to a wave of back and forth across the country where Democratic states redraw to increase the number of Democrats, but then Republican states like Florida and Missouri do likewise. And so we could see a whole shakeup, effectively, or a domino effect started by the Texas process that goes and essentially has an effect nationwide with multiple states doing the same thing.
Real quick here, I mean, how sure are we, just say if this map passes, the districts that the Republicans are really leaning on to flip Republican, could this really then work against them? I mean, because some of these people could actually vote against them in the midterms.
Right. So, the Republicans are taking a gamble that the 2026 electorate and voter behavior is going to be very similar to 2024. If that's the case, they have the potential to pick up between 3 and 5 of these seats. More likely, it's going to be a little closer to 2018. I would say that if it's just an okay election year for Republicans, which is probably the best they can hope for 2026, they're likely to pick up 2 to 3 seats, but then they may lose 1 or 2 that they have, particularly Congressional District 15 that runs from the Rio Grande Valley up to just around San Antonio. So I think the net gain that Republicans could have in Texas is more likely to be in the 2 to 3 range, and potentially as low as -1 if we have a really bad election year for Republicans, like the way, say, 2018 was. That was Donald Trump's first midterm.
Okay, Mark Jones from Rice University, thank you for your time as always this morning. Good to talk to you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.